talk to me a little bit about what you feel are some of the keys to being a good player development, and I'm going to use the word coach.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it goes back to, and I have a little bit of different approach to it, but I think it goes back to, two things. One, having a relationship with the guys and really believing in them, knowing them, spending time with them, and then two, being able to give them the truth. And what probably most people are struggling with nowadays are, giving guys the truth, whether it's players, coaches, everyone fears, confrontation, and it's not even confrontation sometimes. I think people are fearing communication, but I think the best player development coaches, assuming you have that knowledge base like we've talked about earlier, and you know what you're looking for and you know what you're doing, the best of the best, like they have relationships with these guys, and then number two, they will tell them the truth. And so many people are afraid of that stuff, but that's something, I don't live in fear of very often.
I think what I've seen, and not so much maybe from the player development standpoint, although I do think you've mentioned it a couple times, that if you're a player development coach and you're trying to build a business and you're trying to earn your living as being a player development coach, if I'm going to tell a kid and their parents, let's say I'm working with junior high and high school kids, and I'm going to tell a junior high kid or I'm going to tell a high school kid the truth about their game, we all know what potentially can happen. That kid and that parent is going to say, well, we're not working with this guy anymore. We don't want to hear this. We're going to go work with guy X who's going to tell us that, hey, Duke's going to be calling you next week, and hey, you should be playing on this team, and hey, your high school coach is wrong. You're not playing enough minutes. And I think that's one place where people are afraid to tell the truth. And then I think from a high school coach's standpoint, what I see too is when high school coaches tell their players the truth, and we talked about it earlier, what happens to that high school player? I'm not staying here. I'm going to go play. I'm going to go play at the next, school down the road. And so I think that's where the truth becomes very, very dicey. And yet, if you're a player, and I don't care what level player you are, you want somebody to tell you the truth. If you're really a player who wants to get better and wants to improve, like, you want somebody to tell you, hey, you're not very good at this. This is what you have to get better at in order to get where you want to go. And it's never easy to hear criticism. I know I can think back to me being a player and sometimes thinking when my coach would say something to me and get upset, what's he talking about? But if you really care about it, then you go back and you reflect and you say, you know what? He's right. And now I got to decide whether I want to make that difference. And I think the key to that is, and you've said it a few times, is you got to build relationships with guys. And if you don't have relationships, then it's a lot harder to tell somebody the truth if they don't already trust you.
Absolutely. Yeah. And literally, and, it's kind of fitting because I had, hour and a half lunch with a guy today and we talked about this exact stuff, about one of the coaches on his staff. He said like they could go at it. He said sometimes he doesn't like hearing the feedback or what he sees, on film. He's like, man, I got to get better. And 10 minutes later, the kid is like, you know what? He's right. And I needed that. And he appreciates him because of it. And, something I think nowadays, and again, this is kind of a lot of the stuff I'm into and studying and reading about. One of the biggest things we have to fight with players, and, I do a lot of consulting now for even like high level executives or organizations or teams or different stuff like that. But one of the biggest things like people have to fight, or us as leaders, and again, I don't call myself a trainer. I'm a coach. That's what I've done my whole career, like player development, whatever, like I coach basketball, I coach individuals, I try to make guys better, but we have to get them to fight self-deception. Like so many people, I always just talk about like there's just this poison out there in our game today from parents, from social media, from all this stuff to where these guys are just listening to lies, hearing lies, and even telling lies. And I tweet it sometimes. It was from, the pastor at Life Church in OKC. He's like, some people tell so many lies and they've lied to themselves for so long that they start to believe the lies are the truth because
that's the old George Costanza, right?
I'm not a Seinfeld guy.
If you believe, he used to, I think the line was, if you believe it, it's not a lie.
Yeah, there you go. But like so many times, trying to help people, accelerate their progress or get further along down the road, like you have to really get them to quit lying to themselves, get them to kind of, get rid of their blind spots, look at things with a sense of reality. And when you get past that, and again, like you said, you got to have trust and relationship to do that. When you get past that, then it's easy to improve their skill level or help fix their shot or get them to rebound more. But that's usually the first step in it.
So how much do you talk with